Now, in Lapayel,
in the
Siddur, he does give a takana. Eitzah. Say Ani Hashem Elokeichem twice. Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Eichem Emes. Say Emes the second time. So to me, it's
which word is Hashem Elokeichem?
Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Finish off Ani Hashem Elokeichem like regular. Don't say Emes.
And say Hashem Elokeichem Emes.
Ani Hashem Elokeichem Emes.
Go back to one word Ani.
Yeah.
So the only thing that you do say.
What Tzibur? What does the Chazan do?
Hashem Elokeichem Emes.
He says to himself, Hashem Elokeichem Emes.
And then he said,
he allowed 3 words to might see the
Ramach, to be Ramach.
What do you do when your Yichid is not Tzibur?
Right.
Shulchan Aruch he gives he says eitzes to be mechaven, gives eitzah.
Right.
But be'etzem, you lost it. You can't say sas takana, he calls it.
Right.
In the Siddur, he says, say Ani Hashem Elokeichem, and just say over Ani Hashem Elokeichem Emes. Now, for me, it's interesting 2 things. First of all, it's interesting that he changed to Hashem Elokeichem instead of saying what we say during davening. Why shouldn't we do the same thing? Hashem Elokeichem Emes, Hashem Elokeichem Emes. Like the Tzibur does. Why shouldn't he do that b'yachid also?
Why have to say Ani? Right.
So why did he dafka change the oifen how you get it?
Right.
Second akoda is b'chlal the Alter Rebbe in the Paskim there is no such a eitzah. The Vaila I'm looking through. I did not find anyone say what the Alter Rebbe says. Meaning why b'chlal? Let's go to a bigger, deeper question.
Why b'chlal I have to say because Ramach Tevas, Ramach Evorim.
Yeah.
We're missing 3 Evorim. You want to do for this 3 Evorim also?
Yeah. So now the Pashtus, the Zohar says that you lost it. If you're not quite a bit tzibur, you don't have the ability. I don't know why, but for some reason in the Zohar comes out that this is an inyan dafke b'tzibur and not b'yachid. B'yachid, this is an inyan that you could be, when the shliach tzibur says it, but you on your own to say b'yachid, you can't do it.
Why b'tzibur the shliach tzibur only said? Why you cannot say it? Why the shliach tzibur only saying it?
So
like
we're listening.
Only the chazan said the kaddish, not everybody.
So we're listening and we're being yaitza.
Why? Why after this 3 word we're listening in yaitza? Why can we say it also like the chazan?
So Lamaisa, he actually says that you could say it to yourself privately, and if you're yaitza kol yachil lachzer im hashiach tzibur Hashem Elokeichem Emes,
and the shliach tzibur you say together with it.
Ein issa b'davar.
Right.
Ein issa b'davar. So Lamaisa, Ein issa b'davar, and you could say it. But Lamaisa, there's a din, Shulchan Aruch. Before we get to the Siddur, there's no eitzah. What's the eitzah? When you were with the tzibur in the same room, I could say to myself privately, I don't want to be eitzah from the sheikh tzibur. I could say, when he said that, I say it also.
But if I don't have a tzibur, I can't say it.
I can't say it. But then I'm not being eitzah with him, I'm doing it on my own. Maybe you could say I have 10 people in the room. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's happening here. It's not clear. But it's taka from the Zohar, it's mashma, that if you're quite a b'yachid, there's no eitzah. So that episode eitzah mechaven mitamol. So I don't know why you have no eitzah by yachid. Why is something wrong against the yachid doing it? Now, the Alter Rebbe in the Siddur suddenly found a way how a yachid could do it.
And what we said,
but he changes the eitzah.
Right. Why?
Not to do what you do with tzibur. Ani Hashem Elokeichem. You Messiah Hashem Elokeichem, and you chaz over Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Why did he change? So a lot of things here which are not clear to me, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. It's very mechodishtik. And one thing I saw on the bottom, the Mitzayim to the Shar HaKoilel of the Rebbe's Elta Zayda. And I looked it up, and he's mayor that the Alter Rebbe said something Shulchan doesn't say in the Shulchan Aruch, but he goes and scratches out various Peskim and Nishanim that say that they had a minhag to do Ani Hashem Elokeichem like the Alter Rebbe. But I looked through all of them, every mocker, I think besides for one, every mocker that he brings, they're all talking about that the minhag of the tzibur was that way. Not that be yachid, you're allowed to do it by yourself.
Then again, same question.
Same question. One thing he did show is that they did a different nusach in Hashem Elokeichem, but by us it comes out with the tzibur, Hashem Elokeichem emes, with the yachid and Hashem Elokeichem. So you have to get clear what's happening here. It's a lot interesting.
And what we say about Krias Meshalamita at night, you don't repeat it. You yachid, we don't repeat it, right?
Right.
You do.
Only Rabbeinu Tam
You do. Only Rabbeinu Tams you don't, right. Only Rabbeinu Tam, meaning,
and instead of what
the reason why is, anytime you're doing it l'shem
Shema,
Kriyas
you want to do Ramach.
yeah, we'll do it. Kriyas Rabbeinu Tam, like Parit says, we don't do it.
And again, at night you say,
You do it. Kriyas Mita,
same thing, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Hashem Elokeichem emes.
no. You do like the Siddur.
You do like with Tzibo.
No, don't do B'tzibur, because you can't do this some reason.
No,
Only B'tzibur you're allowed to say Hashem
but Krias Meshalamita, what do you say? Ani Hashem Elokeichem, and then Hashem Elokeichem emes?
No, same thing like you do as a Yachid. Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes.
Not Hashem Elokeichem emes, Hashem Elokeichem emes?
I'm glad to see the Siddur. Is there a part about the talk about Siddur? You're gonna let me see it. Tell you right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure the Rebbe has a letter about it. Last week we were looking for the letter. I looked up the letter later. The whole time is different is by Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin. Or it's a Shachris of Pesach.
Something like
Siddur for the Pesach. Oh, but I should have Shema. The second night you do say Tisha Shalamita. The second night of davening after the Agada. The first night is Lo Shimurim.
This is or the new one? You're talking about this is or the new one?
The new ones. I have it here. Look what he writes.
Right.
He brings from the letter with the Rebbe. You do like the Siddur says.
Right.
Over here in the Shulchan Aruch, the Alter Rebbe writes be Yachid, be Mechaven.
You don't say it.
Not to say it.
Right.
In the Siddur he says, say Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes again.
Hashem Elokeichem emes.
No. The Siddur, he
Ani
says,
Hashem Elokeichem.
Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes. Meaning the first Ani Hashem Elokeichem is just the first time.
But you don't say the word emes.
The first time don't say the word emes.
Then the second time you say
Ani Hashem Elokeichem emes. So the three words that you're doing are Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Those are the three extra words. The emes is just because we don't mafsik between Hashem Elokeichem emes, because there's a pasuk in the Torah, Hashem Elokeichem emes, in Yirmiyah. So hiyos that you're saying anyways, emes v'yatziv. We're not mafsik. Look here, this comes from the Rebbe's letter.
Yes, לפני גימל טייבס, נותנים את אמס. אני השם אברכם.
Look what he writes in Maidiv.
Igris Kodesh, Krafted Zain, Umut Slish Sarigad. You have see the
Look in Maidiv now. Look in Maidiv. What does he write? Ending with Maidiv. Go back to the Maidiv. What does he write by Kriya Shema there? He's going to write Hashem Elokeichem emes.
ויחיל כופל גימל תיבות נסיים בתיבת אמץ. אני השם אלוקיכם,
Well, but what about Tzibur?
doesn't say. המתפלל בציבור יאמר, אני השם אלוקיכם אמת, וימתין לשליח ציבור. אם הוא באמצע קריאת שמע והשליח ציבור אמר השם, יעצור, יאזין וכוון צריך לאכול אותה.
He says to do Hashem Elokeichem emes, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you see there's two eitzes here.
It brings from Sefer Minhagim Amud 11. Sefer Minhagim, page 11. Interesting.
What they say of Yom after.
Sefer Minhagim said the same like the Siddur.
Yeah, same like the Siddur.
And that's the beginning. Basically, Shiloh's whether we say ani. What's the Shiloh?
In Krias Shema, you finish, right?
Yeah.
Hashem Elokechem Emes, this the word.
Only the many, right?
When you daven with 10 people, the Chazan say this two word.
Right.
Again, this is Kawai. When you daven b'Yachid,
We don't say that.
you all, so in this Irai, you don't say it, you lost it, but you mechaber. But in the Siddur over here, it says, say the word Hashem Elokechem, Ani Hashem Elokechem, and then Hashem Elokechem Emes.
Oh, I say honest once. Oh.
So you
Very strange. I was looking. There's one thing before we get to the Siddur Al Rebbe. There's one thing here which is not clear, explained in the Paskim, is why it says that if you don't do this, if you're not davening B'tzibur, you lost this concept of the Ramach Davis. And it says, and the Zohar says on it, the Shulchan Aruch brings, the B'Seisa brings it, that it's a chisaron leyuchel imanis, you lost this. The Alter Rebbe brings it over here on the bottom of Amud Reish Tezayin. You missed it. And there's a ksas takana if you're mechaven to the test vavin of emes yatziv.
Okay, but it's a kavona, but not.
You're missing the inyan. Shaila is like this. Why not? Kodim kol, why not? Why can't I say it? Why can't I say it by myself? Why is it that Rabbim is allowed and Yachid can't? And not only that, I'll ask you better, like we said before. The din is, the Rebbe brings it, the din in the Paskim, that if you want the Yachid when you're davening b'tzibur, you could also say it to yourself.
Because you have 10 people.
Doesn't say the reason. It just says that if you want the Messiah koydem l'shich tzibur, you could also say it.
If you are in middle Krias Shema and the Chazan is saying it, just keep quiet, listen, and mechaber the Yitzah.
I don't know what's this English of a Yachid, why you're not allowed to do it. Something, maybe it's a Sayyid, I don't know, you're not supposed to do it. Lamaisa.
But you see, the tzibur.
So, in Shulchan Aruch, one thing we need to understand is that you're not supposed to, as a Yachid, you have to understand why there's no Eitzah. Now you have to understand something else. Number two, the Alter Rebbe in the Siddur, I'll say three things you need to understand. Number one, we need to understand why the mashmos from the Zohar and the Paskim is, and for some reason, this only applies with Tzibur Yachid, you don't have this Eitzah. Right? Why not? Say it to yourself. And when you're with Tzibur or any Belachash, you could say it. But without a Tzibur, you can't say it. Number two, the Alter Rebbe says, he does give an Eitzah what to do b'Yachid. He says to say, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Ani Hashem Elokeichem Emes. So he says you could do it. You could have an Eitzah to do it. So now, there's no mucker for this. It's hard to find a mucker. The next there's no mucker. Looking for a mucker. Now to have a change in the city you could. What bothers me now, so what happened over here? And number three is, regular Shulchan Aruch and Paskim, you're not allowed to do, the Alter Rebbe says. You're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to do it. The Alter Rebbe brings it, all the Paskim say, some reason, some hidden reason, which is not talked out, as to why b'Yachid you have no Eitzah. And the Alter Rebbe has an Eitzah. And I told you, this is the Shah HaKoilel, the Rebbe's Alter Zayde brought. He did try to bring sources for the Alter Rebbe in the Siddur. The sources which he brings, that Taka said to say, repeat, and finish off in Yishem Elokeichem, go back in Yishem Elokeichem, which is different than the way we do in the tzibur. The tzibur we do Hashem Elokeichem Emes. So Shar Koilo brings from various svarim. We see the Rashba, and there's a Shuvas Sam Soifer, and there's Tashbit. Shin the svarim do say in their kehila, the minig was to say Ani Hashem Elokeichem Emes. They are fine, but that was B'tzibur. The Alter Rebbe said that you could do it b'yachid. Number 3, we have to understand is why the Alter Rebbe changed that. On one hand, when you're b'tzibur, say Hashem Elokeichem Emes. Everyone says cry beneath themselves Hashem Elokeichem Emes, and then you're yaitz Hashem Elokeichem Emes from the chazan. When you're b'yachid, it's a different eitzah. If you could do it b'yachid for some way, the Alter Rebbe found you could do b'yachid. So why not say the same thing that you do b'tzibur? Why is it a new?
Or why don't you say b'yachid like you said b'tzibur?
Yeah. So the Vaila, okay, we have to look into this again. This sefer here, which is officially on the Siddur Al Rebbe from Dai Raskin for London, is not helpful on this topic, so he doesn't say anything. I don't know. He's, I think, coming out with a new series. He's making a wider 3 krachim of this on the Al Rebbe Siddur, explaining it, but maybe over there he says something more. I have to look a little bit more. It's probably a Kabbalah something, I'm assuming, but it would be interesting to know why. That the Paiskim none of them try. No one says anything. They look at Al Shulchan, Mishabruda, the Magen Avraham, the Taz. No one is saying up Svara. Why is this basic understanding?
That's following this, and everybody's
if you look at
Paiskim.
If you look at Svart's Sidurim, it says Kel Nema
Melech Neman.
Right?
That's brought. That's brought. I think Ashkenaz are knowing that way. All right? Ashkenaz, they're knowing that way. The Alter Rebbe wrote that way. That's the minig. The Medinas. There is such a minig. To say Kel Melech Neman. But if you're not saying Kel Melech Neman, Kel Melech Neman has issues. Already the Beis Yosef discussed about Riches. There's a big machlokes in the Torah, the Beis Yosef, about Kel Melech Neman. By the Bechlal, it seems that this whole minig originates from the Zohar. This whole din in Shulchan Aruch, this concept originates from the Zohar. Okay, so that's Mitzvah Shem. We're going to have to get some clarity and come back and bring some clarity. I'm still looking into it. I did see the Aruch HaShulchan mentions that you shouldn't. Because when the Bechlal, he says you shouldn't be saying over Hashem's name, no reason. So he said there is better to say over another 3 words, earlier words. Before
said someone said
Mitzrayim Eschoni or something, and he says V'chein isi noigin or something that he would say over Eschem Eretz Mitzrayim. Something like that.
And then Shema Yisrael.
So I was just thinking to myself that maybe the Aruch HaShulchan made me think that maybe the reason why you shouldn't do this b'yachid is because be'etzem you're saying Hashem's name. So you say, so when you were at Tzibur, there was a certain takana, but Tzibur
The Chazan said
to say, yeah, but now you on your own want to say it, there's no takana. So you're saying Hashem's name for no reason. So there. But it's still hard to understand because 2 things. First of all, you do have a reason why you're saying it. Second, it's a pasuk by the way. Hashem Elokeichem Emes is a pasuk in the Torah. In Yirmiyah, and Navi, there is such a pasuk. Second of all, we say that when you're b'yachid, when you're b'tzibur, if you want to say it yourself with the chazan, you could. But the chazan being mitzi, why are you saying it again? And there's no problem with that. It says ein isbadavar. If you want to say it with the chazan, again, you want to have yourself the same 3 words. So then you could say it. But when you're b'chidus, it can't say zagen. So Seb is missing something here, and just find a clue somewhere to be maz with this Indian. It was intriguing to see that there's so much written about these 3 words. How you should be and with eifen. Okay, Sif Simin Samach Beis, page Reish Chaf. Din Mishalik Diktik Krias Shema, Eloi Hishmiya La'oznei Uboy Gimel Sifim. Half a piece of tzarech ladaktik b'is yisrael. Kara v'leidik de ben yatsa. Chetchila, you have to be dactic. If you didn't read with diktuk, you're still yotza. Tzebeis yachol lekreisa b'chol lashon. Shema shema b'chol lashon shate shemeya. V'yizar medivrei shibush b'oisa lashon. That lashon, you should still say it with a proper way, clarity. V'daktik b'isiyesav kamoi b'lashon hakodesh. V'hu shemei ben halashon. You're only yotza if you understand the lashon. V'hu adin l'tfila v'chsamazon. You have to understand what you're saying.
What's the Rishivish?
Like improper language, not written correctly.
Oh, not translated properly.
Yeah. So just because you're saying another language doesn't give you, you have to still be accurate translation and written properly. Now, kiddush b'chsamazon v'halal yoytza afilu eine meven haloshin. Heyoyset shema is an idea of havana. You need to understand what you're saying. So you have to understand. In tefillah also, rachamim, you have to understand what you're saying. And Birchas Hamazon is an inyan, you have to understand what you're saying. She'inkin kiddush and saying a bracha mitzvahs and halal, even if you don't understand, b'di'evad your yoytza. Gimel tzal hashmiya la'oznov ma shemoitzi b'fiv. Shem shema hashmi la'oznecha v'imloi shmi la'oznecha oznov yatza. Muvad sheyoytza b'svasav. This is tack important. Many times we say Shema to ourselves quietly. You can't make chapsif that we're saying in a way that we don't hear it.
Right.
So naturally, this can happen very often. So we have to be conscious about it. But lamaisa, you are yoytza if you have it. So din l'chatchila. We call makim imul anos she'eni yachol loheitzi Svasav, Gegoin She'ein Hamakim Naki. Ingin She'ein Yachol Lohitzi B'Svasav, and She'ein Hamakim Latuna for the Gamri. Yesha Lahader.
What would be an example of this? A bathroom?
Let's see. Yesha Lahader, you should think the words of Krias Shema. Now, for Mishan Yetzich Chavasa Bamira, Shahara Belibe, Vashem, Yidalib, Levave, Yitli, Skara Machshava, Yamim Hachi Medish, Amri, Hazina Hashem, Amar, Dabar, Rabbeinu Shalom, Ibshashini, Yachol Adaber,
Bino Hagigi, Hagigi.
Amarai Hazina, listen to my words. Shasheni Yachol Adaber, Bina Hagigi, Vagigi Ratzalemer, Machshava. Shemhaya Yitzalom Dibar, Fil Basu Adam, Ein Lemer Bina Vadavish Shemea, Until Sheni El Machshava, Amar Loshin Bina. So it's the inyan of Machshava if I can't speak. Chenira Mapatrim Begigi Siva Eish Dibarti Bilshoini, Mashadibur Davar Echad, Machshava Davar Echad. There are different cases. For example, let's say later on he brings in Hilchos an example. Let's say someone had a choili or another oinus. Ein yachol lahaitzi b'sfasa b'Hilchos Hamazon, tzarich lahara b'libay. And similar to when Chazal, there was Takonas Ezra for Baal Keri, Chachamim said that if you can't find Mayim Litbil, Mahader B'Hilchos Hamazon b'libay. Now,
Krishma, you have to say the word, the first person. The rest you could simply leave.
as well, what happens if you have a Mokum Erva? Mokum Erva,
No.
you're allowed to think Divrei Torah. You're allowed to say Divrei Torah. You're allowed to Divrei Torah, not allowed to say Divrei Torah. So, what does he mean here? See, Ayin Gimel Sif Aleph. Maybe there's a little more hasbara. So, what does he mean? Einim Etunuf Lagamri. Sure. Mm-hmm. It also brings up the idea of Erva. What does it mean, Klape?
No, if it's Mtunaf Legamre, let's say a bathroom, you're not allowed to even marry it. Right? That's the point.
Yeah, you can't
Here
think
is a Torah, it's not Mtunaf Legamre.
It doesn't.
Why is the Erva?
Yeah, it doesn't say.
Let's say it was a child made in the shul, in the diaper. So you can't say Divatera until you pin it, but at the same time you can marry.
Can you? I don't think so. It's over.
I'm saying, so you could marry, yeah. Good? Yeah, it's not a bathroom, you're allowed to marry. You can't say. But in the bathroom, you can't say not even marry.
So Mokim. He also mentioned Ashkama Sabayker. If someone's Yashem and Mabushov, so it could be it was Loy Nago Yadav in the Kaimis Utarafim because he's wearing his clothing. So the Stam Yadayim Elu are kosher, Lahasker, Hashem, Aldaber Divatoida.
You're not quite sure that he touched someone like that.
The Zohar was machmer that not to mivarech elumid, not to touch your clothing until you wash till it's daim shachris. You could think the b'toida.
Right.
And
Say the bracha.
the gabi mokim metunif. What you're saying is that if there's an e and it's covered, it's not a bathroom. That in that Shema here. Is that tied to the din? What's the din when it? Soya, the din of soya is in similar involved.
If you manage to kill a smokom like next to it and 4 hours, you're not allowed to move away, and this you could never. But walking with a chair and at the store, they drive on the bus. There's a lot of people, not sneeze, and they want to know on the English. That's what they do. They're allowed to not allowed. Much as they're allowed.
Not sure. The din of limit at Torah. It's on the hitter. Okay, look, if the Lashon is mashma, we're talking about a different case. Soya itself, Soya itself is just like a Besakise. Soya.
If you manage by the place, you're not allowed to. Like, the Bahamas, if you mark it, you could.
say the same thing. And maybe it's talking about like a merchetz, A merchetz could be an in-between place.
It's not sneeze. Maybe the room where people are take off the clothes, that's for sure not, but outside maybe yes.
So the din is by merchetz hazoi that there's different rooms there.
Right.
The outside room, everyone's levushim, say that.
Right.
The middle room, sas levushim, sas harumim.
It's a problem.
You cannot read kish and tefillin v'toida. Even when there's no adam arum there l'payil, you can.
The room itself is not.
If there's
no people.
Hafilu kishiyesham arumim. Mutter lifsik sham din. Kapaskin a din there. Tell someone this mutter is aser. Uvad shel yomer taimei shel davar zeh. Shazeh eini ela k'mei hidur b'divrei Torah. Psak without a tam is like hidur. Shemechashev hatam b'libei. The abayis hapnimi.
Nothing.
Everyone is oim the shamarumim. Everything is aser. So the mice of the middle room is really like a case where even b'shas der orim, you're allowed to think the b'tayla. So the mice in the mikveh, in the dressing room, you're allowed to think the b'tayla. Very important thing to know. The dressing room can't back the b'tayla. Maybe that's maybe the dogma what he means over here when he says that the mokim is eina mokim atuna for the gamri. I'm not sure, but it could be. Simin samach gimel. Leishe b'shas kishon sheloi lishon. Bayut sifim. The bottom of page reish chaf aleph. Rabbi say, Kol adam koyin kishon kedarkon bein oindim meyoshim meisheichem mehalchim meinoichem agabech behemish nemer lechto aderech. Hey, lama nemer shach of kemecha. Bizman sheldom sheichim. Bizman sheldom. It's a zman. It's not telling you a manner how a position that you should be in. It's telling you at a time period. When you wake up and you go to sleep, that's a zman kriya shema. Pomakin prakton and shemutel panam tuchis bakarka. Oy mushlach agabo panam lamayla is a problem. I feel if you're totally flat on your face, your body is flat on the ground, or your back is flat on the ground, it's a problem. Even if you're a little bit, pull yourself a little bit to the side, there's not a problem. It won't cause a kishui. Okay, however, it's happened to the gamri shemekabel malchus shemaim derech srora v'gaiva elam kena yabal basar harbe ve'ene yochel is hapich atzidoy oishu choyle Mishem shavidish kavat sidoy l'sheich vatil itil b'kis kachel l'sheich of orum tachas dinoy tichav lamed l'vish begodov. Some shittas hold that this heter that we allow you to lay totally on your side and read Kriya Shema is only when you're shaykh of arum underneath your blankets. We don't require you to get dressed and get up. However, the ikka halach is that you could read Kriya Shema when you're leaning on the sides. And the put is like this: that totally on your back, totally on your front is a problem. If you're even if you're a little bit to the side, off the ground, not fully on the back, fully in the front, also problematic with Kriya because it's not a Kabbalah of Shemayim. You're sitting there with like a spashtos, like you're spread out over there. It's not the way you Makaba Shemayim, unless you go totally to the side. If you pull yourself totally leaning on the side, it's not a problem to say Kriya Shema. the Krias umad, Nika Avaryan she'oiver al divrei chachamim. Beis Shammai are the ones that held b'shach b'cha, you have to be sheichev at night. Kumecha, you have to be standing up in the morning. Beis Hillel held not like that. The halach is like Beis Hillel. Someone wants to machale Beis Shammai is called an Avaryan. Ashacham hitiru gam umad, even though chachamim be'etzem, they hold that you're allowed to do it umad. They call bankim and she feed the brain a mila klavam umad maybe yusha. There's no mila to it. You're allowed to, but there's no mila in it. So Jesh and Emer Kumecha in a custom adaber klal bamida was man kima. Turning over not at all addressing your position, addressing the time. Whom machmer lamed and he nidish and he chosh in the day mulu pirusham bekasov. The chayiv misa. It's a gemara. The Tarfin was the Gemara. They told the Tarfin,
Animals eat it, yeah.
listen. Bein doim a klal a shar chumer shana machmirim. Meiz a tam v'shekilu chachamim. She'af chacham hoyu moidim shish mayla b'chum meiz a tam v'shoy ratzu lahachmir. Very important klal that a person could say anytime a machmer or chachamim said one thing, you're being machmer. You're an avarian. Chachamim didn't say to be machmer. Say that it's different. Over there, if you would ask Chachamim, they would agree to you that that's a chumrah. We're not mechayiv people to go so far, but it's not that it's not a worthy thing in a chumrah. By Krias Shema, there's absolutely no reason that dafke by night you should be b'shchiva, in the morning you should be b'kim. That's only because she's Beis Shammai.
Not at the chumrah, it's totally the wrong interpretation of it, the wrong translation of it.
Yeah. So here, someone's saying I'm disregarding, and I have my own interpretation. I'm not accepting the system that Chazal set up, and the words of Chachamim. It's right that you should be chayiv misa. Someone who was sitting and he stood up in the morning. If you were walking and it came Zman Krias Shema and you want to stand, Rashoi. V'tova bracha kivin she'enim miskavim b'amida ela b'shvil hakavana. Hashem can be Yoshev she'yuchol chavin k'may ma'umad. Over here, you did it for reasons of kavana reasons, so there's no problem to stand up. There is a minhag to stand up and say Baruch Shem out loud standing. You're allowed to get up by Krias Shema, even if you're sitting. Even though you're able to have kavanah when you're sitting. So why are you standing there? You could have had kavanah anyways. And you're doing it not because you're timing the Krias Shema. It's a special thing that in Kippur that Baruch Shem should be said standing. We don't have this minhag. Our minhag is just that we say Baruch Shem b'kol ram. We don't get up and stand up for Shema and Baruch Shem.
This part in Yom Kippur we all stand up.
You stand up. We don't stand up.
Shema
Stand
Baruch Shem Eila.
And the Eila.
You're already standing. You're already.
I think he's talking about the regular Krias Shema, not the Krias Shema at the ending. By Krias Shema, that's just like we say B'Koil Ram Krias Shema, Baruch Shem. There were those that also had the meaning to stand. In general, not B'nai Eila specifically. So he said that's not an issue. That you're doing it because it's Yom Kippur. As long as you're not, the Kitzur and the Kodah is, as long as you're not doing it because of that shita. Chumras ahin, chumras ahar. We have to remember there's also rules when you're allowed to be machmer. It's not always considered noteworthy to be machmer. Not always a good thing to be machmer. If you're trying to show that your opinion is correct over the other opinion,
So volume.
so we have a problem.
Is there a saver on this when
It's not too popular today. The machmer is very popular.
People are always looking for the cooler, not for the chumrah.
Exactly. So maybe there should be a saver on
You find me a cooler.
Depends which community. Some communities very into the
same.
chumras.
Well, that's what I mean. There should be a favor saying when you not make up without it. When you're not allowed to be.
There is some place that says you're allowed to be machmer. Not always allowed to be machmer. So you're have to be machmer. Because we have to be machmer is in the things that are hard to be machmer. It's always easy to buy chumras or to buy chumras meaning there is machmer and having good midas and working on ourselves and being a better person. That's the difficult chumras and hidurim. And where it bothers the nefesh of Bahamas and the Yitzhahara. The other things nefesh of Bahamas, the Yitzhahara is not bothered. He should come to show with $1,000 esrig. The nefesh of Bahamas is very happy with that chumrah. He's not bothered with that chumrah. Right? So to think sometimes that some chumras and hidurim, it's
Chavir, mitzvah chavir me. But anybody say it's coming?
Moshe's dream.
Who?
Moshe's dream. So we still need to.
Let's read one more halacha. Dalit v'miratza likris kol hagimel parshis shmalach v'shus biyadim avav. But if someone's walking, you need to go somewhere. You want to say Kriya Shema while you're walking. You're allowed to, except for the first pasuk. Shetzichin lamed mehiluchi. You have to stand. Or leishav, you could sit. Either one. But the Krias you can ilachav and heitev to have proper kavanah. Who adinim hayerecha agabe behema. Tzarech lahamida. She'niyachal lachav kokach shu tarud. Alichas, you have to stop the animal in order to have kavanah. Yoshe ba'agala, you're sitting in a wagon, and it's tzarech lahamida. So if you're not driving the car, you could have kavanah even without in a bus. It's only for the pasuk rishon. For the hemshech inyan, it's okay if you're walking. Obviously, it's better to stand if you could, but if you're rushing somewhere, you have to go somewhere, so you could read it while you're walking.
Not close, he's coming. And if you keep not too late, not too late.
You have that 8, yeah? So for you, do hey. So hey.
Yeah.
Half we should have to the Chab and Chola Gimel Parashis. Tap a page Reish Chav Gimel. Iker HaKavan he bepasuk Rishon shu Kabbalas Malchus Shemayim. Uhu edin abal Shem Krem Chazal Avad shu Gam Kin Kabbalas Malchus Shemayim. We also discussed in the Eibush's Malchus.
What?
Uhu adin abal Shem half the Be'ela Chuloshin Tzava. It's a lashon of mitzvahs. Do this mitzvah, do that mitzvah. You should love Hashem. It's mitzvahs. Shema and Baruch Shem is accepting upon ourselves Hashem as Melech, as Malchus. Lefichach imkara Kriya Shema v'lekivim b'libe b'pasuk rishon ay Baruch Shem Kriyas Alavad tzarech lachzer v'likroison. Afilu ha'im mitzvah saying tzichas kavana moedim bezeh. Even the sheet which held that Bechlal mitzvahs don't need kavana, which by the way we don't paskin that way. We paskin that mitzvahs min haTorah need kavana. The chiddush over here is that even the opinion which you don't hold the halacha, that mitzvahs ain't tzrichas kavana, and you're yoytze b'diavad out kavana. That by Kriya Shema you need to know what you're saying when you're saying Shema Baruch Shem. Otherwise, it's not a Kabbalah Samach Shemayim. What are you just saying, Mambal Jamba? You have to understand that you're making Hashem your Melech, and Hashem is everywhere, and He's one. You have to understand this concept. Although it's not a Kabbalah Samach Shemayim. Filo im Kavana, maybe the Shem like you live without say Chavas Min HaTorah. There's a Kodesh Pasuk Shema Yisrael Pam Shenis. What happens if you didn't have kavanah the first time? You just said it, and I like say it again because I want to have kavanah. Say it quietly. When you're davening with a minyan, if people hear you saying Shema twice, sounds funny like it, but you have two Shema's, two Eibishtas. Say it quietly the second time. You finish till Visharecha, back to the beginning to Shema again. You can't put it in the middle. Just say, let me just say that pasuk and continue where I'm going further, because then you're going to be reading it out of order. You have to read it in the order. Has to be said in an order. If someone's sleeping, you wake him up, you make him uncomfortable, at least you should read the first pasuk. He's awake. That he should be up. Even though he reads the rest and he's like dozy, not fully lucid, it's okay. But you should make sure he says it with his mouth. Since you're honest.
Even if the guy doesn't have a chiv saying Krishma, I should wake him up. The guy's sleeping in the shoulder.
Oh yeah, he's a chiv, the person. Yeah, not a child. It's a chiv.
This is a lot of bochum. What about Negel?
With the bacher, you have to be careful sometimes. Actually, those are the parent-child relationship. You know.
What about?
I think you tell them it's Krias Shema, and obviously the person wants to. If the person doesn't want and is getting upset at you, we're not talking about Shema. Doesn't say in the case you're upset. In case you know the person wants to say Krias Shema. She's very tired. So you let him know he'll be upset that you're Krias Shema. You're not mechuyev to go to someone and
Yes, thanks.
someone who doesn't want. It's not. You tell the person it's man. It's man. You know?
What about until she dies? Doesn't mention.
You don't have a choice. You say it without.
So if you're really tired,
go like this with your hands.
Say Shema, continue sleeping.
you ain't have to do negel.
Do what you could if you're too tired. The ikr din min ha-Torah. You have to be what you do min ha-Torah. The best way to say it is obviously to be up and awake and alert.
Can I get away without doing negel?
Such situation, we're not discussing. He's fully, properly dressed and everything. You do what you could do. It's his man. His man comes. You don't have any time. You do whatever you could do.
I have 3 minutes, but I'm really tired. I want to go back. I'm too lazy.
Go like this. On
what? On a wooden item.
At night.
On a blanket.
Tired at night.
Double check.
Double check. Even on a blanket, it has to be on a wooden item.
No, any surface. Not a. Yeah.
What does surface mean?
Hey, so the blanket is also good. What's wrong with the blanket? It's better than the wood.
What is it?
Cloth seems to be better. Cleans better than the wood. The stone.
What? Something about wood. Like you don't have water. You don't have some wood. You know what I'm talking about?
They didn't want to get their clothes dirty. Maybe I don't know. Really, your clothes, your hands are not dirty. It's more of a ruach ra. It's not like your hands are dirty.
Right.
So maybe a touched muck.
So I'm talking about ruach ra.
No, anything. You wipe yourself hands on anything.
Because the ruach ra.
Yeah, maybe then was like you have to scrape some dirt off, so you need like a hard surface. You know, like that you could do anything.
I thought you don't want to start it.
Okay, so you have a tense coming.
So the candles.
So the end, you do your best.
I don't know.
Listen, we're not talking about the actual situation. Talking about a person is, out of it, so they do whatever they could. You see this man's coming, you can't take the risk. You can't take the risk. Better to say it. But before when you said it.
Okay, so
Father was your father.
what?
Madakar the
But having the Chinese 12, he's waiting.
We didn't have outside the bathroom, we go to the kitchen, gallons of water, up the stairs. Eventually I made a silly upstairs. Outside the bathroom.
You put it in.
I remember one time I told my son,
It's much more common now in the houses that they build. They should build more. Yeah.
I
put in the extra bathroom.
To sleep in the morning.
Room. I put the sink outside. I just didn't put it in. Well, thank you everyone for joining.
I build in my
Good to see you.
bedroom a sink special for that.
See you, and David, and
Fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bencha, how are you?
Married for 14 years before
Good to
you.
see